Hello everyone, my name's Henry Blue, and in this video I'm going to talk to you a little bit about industrial unionism in the US and why it has been unable to succeed on a large scale. So first I wanted to give some background on the subject of industrial unions and the common union structure that we see here in the US. Though we have already discussed some of this material in class, I do believe it's helpful to have a clear definition of what I will be discussing in this video. The majority of unions that we see here in the US are craft unions, where members of a union are organized by the skill that they work in. To use myself as an example, I am part of a craft union for people who work the exact same job as me, whilst my boss is part of a completely separate union for people who hold the same title as they do. This contrasts with industrial unionism, where unions are structured so that everyone in a given industry is represented by a single union, regardless of skill or trade. Because industrial unions represent a much larger group of people, it is much easier to organize solidarity efforts and ensure that no worker is left behind. Industrial unions also protect workers that join brand new places of employment, as they provide the foundation for representation for any worker in the industry. Secondly, I wanted to establish a personal connection to my subject matter. As I briefly mentioned last slide, I am the member of a union. My union is Liuna Local 242, which you can see their logo here in orange. If you're curious, I work for Seattle Parks and Rec in the front desk area of a couple different community centers, which is why I included that little logo there. As I mentioned, my union is a craft union and has limited our ability to negotiate a contract that benefits all of our members. We recently reached a new union agreement, which saw a rise in my personal pay, but negatively affected some of the longer serving temporary staff whose pay steps were reset. Though no one ever gets exactly what they want when reaching a labor agreement, I truly believe that industrial unions will help more workers get what they deserve through the solidarity that they provide. I also felt it important to mention a couple of the most prominent industrial unions that have existed in the US. The UAW was founded in 1935, and then the IWW, which was founded in 1905. The UAW is still going strong today, whilst the IWW really only exists in a very limited capacity to what it was in the past. The main thing I wanted to note about these two examples was kind of the era in which they were founded. As you can see, both unions were kind of founded towards the earlier half of the 20th century, in a time where union protections were much stronger, and the culture around unions was one that was more conducive to the creation of industrial unions. Which is not the case today. So why have industrial unions not caught on in the US? Well, I've broken it down into two separate factors that include internal factors that deal with prospective or current union members, as well as external factors that deal with anyone outside of a given union. Internal factors include things like apathy, which refers to people kind of questioning the necessity of industrial unions, as well as not believing it worth their time for what they receive in return, as well as infighting, which deals with disagreements about union structure or leadership, and then also ideology, which speaks to those who deem industrial unions communist or socialist, or just reject the idea of unionizing in general. In contrast, external factors, which are all somewhat intertwined, deal with the restrictions around who can unionize and where. Different states have different regulations. Corporate interests, which generally business owners want to limit unionization to maximize the amount of profit that they are receiving, as well as the interests of government officials and members of the public that demonize the unionization for personal and political gain. I also wanted to highlight what I believe to be the most important internal factor, which is apathy. I felt it was important to highlight that apathy does not mean that these workers are not organizing out of laziness, or these workers are not organizing out of laziness, but rather because they are worked so hard that they need time to do other more necessary things. Others don't believe that their workplace would be keen on unionizing because of the threat of being fired for doing so. I also wanted to highlight what I believe to be the most important external factor, which is union regulations. In the US, only certain industries have the right to form a union. Furthermore, different states have different regulation when it comes to what industries can unionize, as well as the effect of the Janus decision, which we covered in class, that made union dues not obligatory for union members, as well as rejecting funding for unions coming from non-union members. Before the video ends, I just wanted to speak to the importance of the issue and why the existence of industrial unions matter. Because of the nature of salaried work, employers are automatically granted significant power over their employees. To balance this out, workers must organize into unions so that if their employers are exploiting them, they have recourse to improve their conditions. Craft unions are unable to adequately protect union members because there is no guarantee of solidarity from other members of a given industry. Overall, industrial unions better empower employees to take on their employers when conditions are unjust and improve income inequality. Today, income inequality has been steadily rising for about 30 years with no end in sight. Industrial unions would guarantee workers better wages than they currently have and set them up for a future of bargaining with their employers. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.